You are with me, Raju, editor-in-chief at transformationchampions.com. And I am doing a series of interviews with corporate and wellness leaders to understand the efforts they put in to engage with their customers and workforce in ways that keep them motivated, enthusiastic, and forever willing to pursue a healthy lifestyle. Today, I'm with nutritionist Karishma Shah. She is an integrative health nutritionist and holistic wellness coach. She is also a weight loss expert and certified plant-based chef. She has done her post-graduation degree in food management and dietetics, PG in weight management and clinical nutrition. She is continuing study in positive psychiatry and mental health. She is here with us to share her expertise on the importance of nutrition and wellness. Now over to Karishma. Good evening, Karishma. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Mr. Raju. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, Karishma, today. So let me, good that we are having here as part of the transformationchampions.com. Let me start the conversation, right? So this is more around your daily routines, right? So what you do as part of your daily routines to take care of your own wellness, Karishma. This is particularly with respect to food and workout, right?
Okay. If I'm going to talk about myself, I am very particular about the kind of food that I eat. I mean, not just because it is my profession, but because it is something that I personally believe in. So I'm very particular about what I eat. I don't consume products which cause inflammation in my body. I don't consume products which which have very low nutritional value in it. So I personally feel that when you consume things with a higher vibrational value, when you read things with a higher vibrational value, or if you're surrounded by things which are of a higher vibrational value, you at the end of the day start matching that frequency. And I think that on a day-to-day basis, if there is one thing that anybody should make a part of their life, it would be that it's difficult to be positive all the time. It's very difficult to be positive all the time. So what happens is that if you are in a state where you are doing a series of things which in itself is increasing or raising the vibration of your daily life, it works like a routine, and it works like a sink, and then it becomes a part of your life. So by let's say not spending a lot of time on social media platforms, because I think it's so draining on all of us, trying and doing work with your hands as much as possible. It could be anything. It could be writing, it could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be just something as simple as making your bed. So these simple things where you're constantly using your hands, this actually connects with your mind somewhere down the line. We as human beings constantly need to have our movement in place. And if we are sitting in one place the whole day, and if we are only on our phone the whole day, the mind doesn't understand what is happening, and it starts slowing down. So I think a is to keep movement in your life, not spend a lot of time on your electronic gadgets and your social media platforms. Three is to consume food which is higher in nutritional value. Over the course of the interview, we'll get to what kind of foods and everything is important. But to cut it short, I would just say that you are what you eat. So if you put something in your body which has a higher amount of nutrition, your body is also going to be able to perform at a higher level. So these are three things which I think I do on a daily basis, and I have seen that when I started doing this on a day-to-day basis, it's transformed my life, at least, and the clients I work with, it works in their case also, and they see those transformations every single day.
Really good, Karishma. This is particularly on the breakfast, right? So what is a good way to begin a day, actually? How important is to have a good breakfast, Karishma?
Breakfast is very important. I think that, one of the major reasons why breakfast is very important is because, you've slept for some time, like you've slept for hours. And, there are some people who finish their dinner at, let's say, 8 o'clock in the evening, or, they finish their dinner before sunset, or even if they're finishing their dinner by 9 p.m. every day. And if you're waking up in the morning at, let's say, 9 a.m., there's already been a 12-hour gap where your body has not had anything. It has not had water. It has not had any food to eat. And, I think you wake up very, very dehydrated. It's very important to eat breakfast and to be very well hydrated in the morning, is because, then all your other bodily processes start coming into sync. I have seen that a lot of people suffer from constipation because they are constantly dehydrated. And if your colon, or your digestive bowel system is dehydrated, you are constantly going to suffer from constipation. So and breakfast is something that it maintains your blood sugar levels. So and especially for people who are diabetic, the worst mistake that they do is to skip breakfast. So if you are somebody who has problems with your sugar levels, has problems with glucose, and not even if there is no problem, but I think that if you want your glucose levels, your sugar levels, insulin levels to be balanced throughout the day, it's very important to start with a good breakfast, so that then the body starts functioning well.
Yeah, so you're saying a good way to begin a day is to have a healthy and a good breakfast, right, Karishma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So being an expert in the field, Karishma, what do you say some of your core principles as nutritionist?
Core principles. There are a lot of core principles, but to name a few, one would be that, um, definitely not eating packaged food, processed food is like on top of my list. I think that, fast food, the food that we open pack, we get ready to eat, or we have to open packets and just make it instantly in 2 minutes. So that's what it is. It's just instant food. And even the nutrition, the nutritional value in it, the amount of energy that it provides is only that much. It's instant, you know. So it's not something which, we should make a part of our life. We want to go out and we want to enjoy, fast food, junk food once in a while. It's a completely different thing. It depends from person to person. But on a daily basis, if you are somebody who really wants to, look after yourself, look after your body, look after your mind, it's very important to eat home cooked food, which is made with simple homemade ingredients, which is made with our Indian spices, is tasty as well as, good for our body. So not eating packaged food, fast food, and all this processed food that we get now is one of the basic principles I have. I always talk about the fact that should not be a part of your diet at all.
So basically, home cooked food, no packaged food, and be local, right? That's your,
yes, absolutely. Yes.
You listed down a set of your core principles, Karishma, but there would be definitely a lot of challenges in implementing as part of your profession, right? So what are the challenges? Because challenges that you think in implementing these principles?
There are a lot of challenges because, I think westernization has absolutely changed not only our taste buds, but it has also changed the way that we think, and the decision-making power that we all have has changed tremendously because of the way that, the Western world has influenced us. And I think one of the challenges is, so there are, it's a very complicated and interesting thing, because there are some challenges which are new age, and then there are some challenges which is difficult to break the earlier mindsets. So for example, when I talk about something like, there's a certain section of population which needs to not eat gluten, which is our atta, which is our gehun ka atta, which is maida, which is rava. So all these have gluten in it, and lots lots and lots of people are now becoming gluten intolerant, and they have so many digestive issues. But this rigid concept that our ancestors used to eat wheat, our dada dadis used to eat wheat, and it is a staple food product in our Indian culture, then why are we not supposed to eat gluten anymore? So for us to break these kind of old generational mindsets is difficult. And if this is one side of the coin, the second side of the coin is that the new age, I would like to say, um, the youth of today, because of the culture, because of the westernized culture, because of all this traveling that we're now doing, used to do prior to COVID, and our minds being more open to the Western culture, we think that if we eat only salads, or if we eat avocados, if we eat blueberries, that's how we are going to be getting our nutrition. We believe that the more expensive the food is, the more jazzy the packaging is, and if there is a Western doctor who is promoting this aspect, then we will consider it a superfood and then we will eat it. But it's very difficult to make the youth of today understand the core principles of our ancient science of Ayurveda. And where the Western world is opening up to our culture, is opening up to this whole aspect that Ayurveda is actually so brilliant, that if we as Westerners start learning Ayurveda in yoga, we can change our lives. And this is our own home ground over here, and we have all these things available to us. But the youth does not want to embrace these things, and they would rather eat an expensive salad in a restaurant than make a simple home cooked nutritious meal at home. So with the growing of one thing that even COVID has brought in a nice change is that people are now cooking food at home. The younger generation, like girls of my age, and girls younger than us also, they are a little far away from the concept of oh, there is no need to learn cooking, or there is no need to do this, because now we have things available. We can order stuff from outside, we can hire somebody to make food for us, we can easily go out to eat. But to make these kinds of concepts more understandable to today's youth, that it's important to know the basics of cooking, it's important to make simple home cooked meals and eat those on a regular basis. So these are the things, that there are two sides. One is that we struggle with trying to explain the new important scientific research and concepts to people because they are ignorant about it. And the second one being that, to explain the age old traditions now in today's time is also very difficult.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. A lot of inputs, Karishma. And nowadays, a lot of lifestyle diseases are around, right? Particularly in India, diabetes, BP, asthma. You name disease, it's there in India, right? So
absolutely.
Does the kind of food contribute to these diseases, Karishma?
The food that you eat, the nutrition that you consume, as I mentioned earlier, plays a very big role in your overall growth, in your overall, how do I say it? In the overall way that your body develops, your mind develops over a period of time. One thing that I say a lot is that, earlier there was malnutrition and now there is overnutrition.
Oh.
So now we have to stop people from eating. And earlier there was a time where, food was scarce. It was difficult to, procure things and feed a lot of people. But in today's day and time, it's overwhelming. The amount of food available, the amount of food people are consuming is overwhelming. So, I think it's very important to know that eating more or eating this one particular thing or something is not going to make or break you in that one aspect, but it's an overall thing. It's how you do your day-to-day diet. It's how you overall take care of yourself on a longer period of time. Doing the same things consistently is what makes or breaks your overall health.
So basically, people have to understand what they have to eat, how they have to eat, when they have to eat,
and how much they have to eat.
how much.
Yes.
Exactly. So, coming to protein, right? So, what are the good plant-based sources of protein, Karishma, that you would recommend to your customers?
So when one of the major questions that I get a lot is this obsession with protein. So when any time that we're having this conversation where I am talking about whole food, plant based foods, or if I am talking about the fact that I'm a chef of plant based cuisine, the first question that everybody thinks of is that, okay, then where is the protein coming from? you know um, we have to understand that not just now, but since since eternity, we have been getting protein from all food sources. It's not that we have only been having milk, or we have only been having paneer, or we've only been having fish, or we've only been having chicken, and that is the only source of protein that is coming into our body. Each and every vegetable has certain amounts of protein in it. All the seeds and nuts that we eat every day, or if whatever we are supposed to eat, all these seeds and nuts have protein in it. Then when we talk about grains, the combination of rice and the combination of dal. Why is rice and dal a staple in so many cultures all across not only India, but every other ethnicity also embraces rice with some amount of other protein? Is because these together form a complete chain of amino acids, and this is how our body is getting the amount of protein that it needs. So plant-based sources of proteins are many. It's not restricted to only eating, one particular type of food. So you can get your protein from vegetables, from fruits, from seeds, from nuts, from products of soya. There are a lot of people who like to consume tofu, like to consume tempeh, who like to consume soy milk. Then even if you do not want to consume these things, then other sources are are equivalent to the amount of protein that your body needs, and you do not have to have an extra shake or an extra supplement just to meet those protein needs. But the amount of food that you eat on a daily basis, if in the right way, right kind of your macros and micros are in a right form, then they are going to give you the amount of protein that your body needs.
Basically, you're saying a lot of plant-based sources of protein are available, right? So, particularly when mentioned nuts, soya
And
seeds.
right in your house,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if people know this, but I get a lot of people saying that, oh, if we eat a lot of nuts, we are going to become fat. Oh, if we eat a lot of rice, we are going to become fat. Oh, if we eat a lot of one particular food group, we are going to become fat. But that's not true. um, that is not how you have to eat. And also you have to remember that there can't be one meal that you are sitting and you can consume 300 grams of protein in one meal. Your body is not going to be able to assimilate something like that. You have to distribute the amount of protein evenly throughout the whole day in different meals. That is when the body assimilates that kind of protein. And it could be plant based or it could be non plant based, but that is the concept of how protein is metabolized in our body. So you can't be saying that if I'm only eating dal and rice, I'm not getting the amount of protein that I'm getting. You are getting what you are supposed to be getting in that meal.
Absolutely, Karishma. Uh, you clearly articulated the plant-based protein and how we have to distribute throughout the day, right? Instead of consuming one meal.
Yes, because any kind of overload, it can be an overload of carbohydrates, it can be an overload of proteins, it can be an overload of fats. Is not good for our body. It does not know how to assimilate all these things in abundance. I don't. There are a lot of people who know this, but even if they don't know, I would like to share this thing that when we consume a lot of B vitamins, the body takes what it needs, and then the extra is excreted through our urinary tract. So the same way with our other food products also, and our other our other macros and micros also, the amount of protein or the amount of energy that it needs from the amount of food that we have eaten. It takes it, and if there is an excess of it, it puts a load on our kidneys, and then it gets excreted through our urinary tract. So if you are somebody who is overdoing on protein, your kidneys are definitely suffering because of it.
Now, vitamin D, right? So, how important is vitamin D for our body?
Vitamin D is now, in the coming years, vitamin D is not going to be known as a vitamin, but it's actually going to be known as a hormone. It's that important for our body. Over a lot of research, over a lot of in-depth study on the whole concept of vitamin D, is that it's so essential for our day-to-day activities. And because 90% of the population is always deficit in vitamin D, it is something like a it's something like it's almost as important as how you would want to now focus on protein, or if you would how you would like to focus on something like carbohydrates. So the same way, the focus is that big on vitamin D. Because the population is deficit. Why is it deficit? There are lots of reasons for it. We are not spending so much time in the sun, clearly, nowadays. Even right now, let's just think about it. Right now, we're in the peak of summer. It is absolutely the peak of summer. It is like the sunshine is there till 6:30, 7 o'clock every day in the evening, but we're all stuck in our houses, and we can't go out, and we cannot absorb that kind of vitamin D. And our soil is also depleted of its minerals and vitamins these days because of so many cofactors. So I think that it's going to become mandatory in the coming years. But even now, if there is a deficiency of vitamin D, people should start taking supplements, and people should start accommodating that in their day-to-day life and their everyday nutritional needs, because it's you need vitamin D for so many bodily processes, and you have to pay attention on your levels. If you are deficit in vitamin D, you are going to feel lethargic. You are going to feel low. Your energy levels are not going to be that nice. It causes a lot of brain fog in our mind also. And there are some categories of people who are naturally deficit in vitamin D, which is the diabetics. They naturally become deficit in vitamin D. Then there are people who suffer from thyroid issues. You could be hyperthyroid, or you could be hypothyroid, and your body naturally is deficit in vitamin D. There are lots of other factors wherein pre-pregnancy, post-pregnancy, your levels can fluctuate. So these are times where people have to be very particular about the levels that are there in your body. But even if it is not this, even if you are somebody who doesn't have these kind of lifestyle diseases, it's very important to keep your vitamin D in check and start taking supplements if you are deficit in it.
A lot of good inputs on vitamin D, Karishma. Now, particularly corporate employees, right? So they are working in very stressed environment. So what are the advice that you would give to them, particularly to prevent illness, Karishma?
I have done corporate workshops before, and I have spoken to so many, corporate, head honchos. I've spoken to so many employees. And, the one thing that I have learned is that no matter what position you are at, or no matter the amount of work that you do on a day-to-day basis, their health is always compromised. They always neglect the aspect of taking care of themselves. Their attention would be on other things, wherein how can they become better at their work, or how to get a promotion, or how to crack a meeting, or so then the focuses are on these things. But they don't realize that their nutritional needs are not being met every day. Their existing lifestyle diseases aggravate because of their irregular timings and irregular lifestyle that they're leading. That affects productivity at the end of the day. So if you are somebody who wants to become more productive in your corporate job, if you are somebody who wants to be at the forefront of whatever work you are doing, I think it's very important for you to take care of your health first and then start putting other things as a second priority. The first priority should be your health, the amount of sleep that you are getting, the quality of sleep that you are getting, the food that you are eating every day. Are you eating it on regular time slots, or is it something that you're just shoving in your mouth at one day, at one particular time in the day, and then moving on with your work? Excessive amount of caffeine, cups and cups of tea and coffee the whole day, and not following very good sleep hygiene, whereas they don't know what time they're sleeping and what time they're waking up. So lots of things that can be corrected as far as the corporate sector is concerned, but for them to be mindful about these things is very important. They have to realize that the amount of work that they want to push out is only going to happen if they are at their optimum health. Otherwise it's just going to suffer.
A lot of good inputs, Karishma. Particularly, you were saying that sleep health, nutrition health, physical health, and they have to be very clear. If they do all this thing, I think they can be productive. But here, what is happening is other way, right? They are trying to be productive and doing not doing other.
So you see, it's counterproductive actually, because the thing that you should be doing is something that is coming later. Whereas if that comes first, then the other thing is an automatic process.
Exactly. So coming to millets, right? So millets is, we call it here ancient grain, miracle grain, smart food, superfood. And is that a part of your diet recommendation, Karishma? If yes, what are the benefits of millet?
That's why I mentioned this, earlier, trying to connect the dots with one of the challenges that we face is that growing number of people are gluten intolerant. I personally realized, in my younger days, I had a lot of digestive issues, and because my parents didn't know about things like there could be a gluten intolerance, or there could be these irritable bowel syndromes which kind of affect the digestive system and everything. So there was no knowledge at that point. There was nobody who came to help with all these things. Any doctor that you would go to would give you something for your acidity, would give you something for your constipation. They would always give you pills, but they don't tell you what the cause of this is. So over a period of time, I because of all the studying that I was doing and all the research that I was doing, and when you're in the nascent phase where you're learning these things, you start implementing those things on yourself. That's how you begin. And around 5 years before, I started following a gluten-free diet, because I realized that I might have a gluten intolerance. So when I started following a gluten-free diet, it was life-changing for me. I cannot tell you the amount of good health that it has got into my life. My digestive problems have disappeared completely. All the constipation, all the irritable bowel syndrome that I used to suffer from absolutely went away. Metabolism rate started getting much better. The skin started clearing up, and just overall, it just helps you a lot, on your in your health goals. So I realized that just making such a small little change of eliminating gluten can actually transform you so much, can actually create so much of a difference in a day-to-day lifestyle. So then people come to you and they ask you, okay, so if we are not eating atta, if we are not eating wheat, if you're not eating maida, then what can we eat? Now that is when, as I mentioned, the whole ancient Ayurvedic system also comes into play, where, we have this huge, rich pool of millets in our country. And there are so many types. There is foxtail, there is finger millet, there is, it's just a huge pool that we have. There are some varieties of millet which we don't even know about till today. I'm sure, you would be the best person to elaborate on this, but I think that the best substitute to have from a healthy perspective, if you have to avoid gluten, is to start having millets into your daily life and into your daily diet. Millets is a good addition because nutrition packed, B, very good on your gut, light on your gut, which is your intestine, and the digestive process then starts healing. And the third thing is that so easily available for us and so local and cheap for us.
Totally agree, Karishma. And millet clearly indicates when you have to stop eating as well, right? And it itself tells us clearly when you have to stop eating, and
Yes.
it mixes with our blood very slowly as well. Right? So
Yes. Yes.
please,
The glycemic value of millets is much lower than the other grains. So, I mean, it's fantastic to add to your daily diet. I would want to tell you one very interesting thing, um, which I have realized in the process of my journey. Um, when we go to restaurants abroad, or even locally over here in India, when we go to restaurants, do you know why they give you a free basket of bread?
I don't know. Maybe it's a low cost, or they are not able to sell it.
No. So, have you
Make
experienced
them
it?
full. Make the customer full, or
It's quite the contrary. So I would like to elaborate on this. It's because I have this has personally been of interest to me, and I have tried to come up with a very scientific and very valid reason for this. A is that you have you come across this thing? Have you been offered free bread in
yeah, yeah,
restaurants?
yeah. Particularly in a five-star restaurant.
Absolutely. Okay. So you know um, our gut and our intestine, it's designed in such a way that when we eat bread, which is made from gluten, which is made from maida, which is made from wheat, when we eat something like that, what happens is that it slows down our digestion. What happens when our digestion slows down? Let's say we are very hungry and we've gone into this restaurant. Okay, we're waiting for a table and we're waiting for our place to sit and order and start eating. They give us a fresh basket of free bread, with butter on the side and all those things. We start eating this bread, and what this does is, as soon as the bread is now in our system, in our already hungry system, it slows down our digestion. Once our digestion is slowed down, we end up eating more food than we should eat. If you were somebody who would just have ordered for one main course, okay, you end up eating the equivalent, the double of that, because that has the gluten in the bread has slowed down your digestion. Now you want to eat more because you can take in that much food, and your body is not giving you a signal that you are full. So you keep eating it, and you end up eating more than you should eat. So that is the whole concept about why people give you free bread in restaurants.
I think I can relate now, Karishma, in the sense, particularly if you see, as part of the buffet lunch or dinner, they won't provide it. As part of the a la carte, they provide, right?
You see what I mean now, right?
Interesting. Okay. So currently the COVID situation is going on, right? So to immune system is one which has to be improved a lot, particularly now, right? So what are the healthy advice you would give your customer or people in general?
There is so much immunity advice floating all around us,
I
that
know.
there is an overdose of immunity advice. But just to give you my viewpoint about this immunity. Okay. um, you can't build your immunity in one day. It's not as easy as that. If it was that easy, I think nobody would ever have fallen ill till today. So you can't build your immunity in one day. You have to, it's an adaptive process. Our immune system is something which adapts, you know. Like, let's say, for example, if you are allergic to a certain kind of plant and that plant is growing next to you, the first day that you get exposed to it, you might develop an allergy and you might sneeze, you might cough. if you are exposed to that plant every single day because of your job or because of whatever reason, your immune system adapts to it, and you will not feel those extreme symptoms every time that you come near the plant once you've spent enough time with it. So what I'm trying to say is that your immune system is adaptive. And if there is something that you have to do, is that you have to start processing, you have to start supporting your immune system so that it adapts to this current environment. If there is a current virus which is going on, and if there is anything that is, a little bit of like a stressor for your immune system, or if there is something which is like danger out there for your immune system, what you need to do is that you need to make your immune system stronger so that it starts adapting to this process. What can you do for these things? A is, as I mentioned, please try and eat home cooked food. I know there is no option right now, you have to eat home cooked food, but what people are doing is, and I have seen so many recent examples because I'm constantly talking to my clients, I'm constantly talking to other people also, I have seen that, to make life easier, to save to save your effort of not doing vessels and everything, what are people doing? Opening packets at home. They will make instant noodles, they will make instant oats, they will make instant idlis and everything from packets, and this is what they think sufficing them every day of their current lockdown system. If that is not working, the second thing is that they are ordering from outside, because food from outside is apparently safe right now, according to what people are talking about. So I just want to say is that even if you're only making dal and rice, just make two things or just make one thing, but make something at home with fresh ingredients available at your house. Make one sabzi. You don't know how to make roti, no problem. Take some rice, mix the sabzi with the rice, make a nice biryani or a pulao, and eat that. These kinds of things is something where, you don't have to put in effort, you're still getting your nutritional value that you have to eat, and you don't have to open packets which is empty calories and so many preservatives and additives which are harming your immune system. So that's one. The second thing is that please try and avoid gluten as much as possible, okay? Because I've mentioned this before, and I keep stressing on this because so many people are ignorant about the fact that they are gluten intolerant. They don't know every day the problems, the gas that they have, the bloating they have, the acidity they have, the constipation they have, or the discomfort that they have, the cough and cold that they have, is because of their gluten intolerance. They don't know these things, but when they start working with a professional like me, and I'm introducing these things and I'm making them aware about all these things, that is when they start noticing that this is a problem. Once you eliminate that food group which is causing so much inflammation in your body starts to get healthier, it starts to get more active. And what happens when that happens? Your immune system starts getting stronger. So these are the two things which I want to say, that please eat home cooked meals, whole plant based food which is easily available in your house, okay? Second, try and avoid gluten, which means don't eat any pav, don't eat any bread, don't eat any stuff which is made from wheat, from maida, or from rava.
Very simple, excellent advices. Natural as well, right? Yeah. I know actually you would have had a lot of successes in your profession. If we ask you to list down some of your biggest successes as an integrated health nutritionist, Karishma, what do you
Yes. So, not to blow my own horn, but since you're asking me, I'm going to tell you. One of the things that I am very happy about, is that if somebody comes to me with a simple problem of they want to lose weight or they want to gain weight, okay? When I start working with these people, the process of working with them, the things that I teach them, their personal efforts that they put into all these things, it results in much more than just weight loss. So my goal is never about weight loss. When someone comes to me, I'm very open about the fact that I tell them, what, your goal might be weight loss. Mine is not weight loss. Mine is to get your health into action. Mine is to get your health into its prime zone. One of the secrets of anti-aging is that you have to take care of your health. If you take care of your health, you start reversing the clock backwards. So I think I take care of these things, with the people that I work with. I work at so many levels, which, they unconsciously, consciously, people forget these things on a day-to-day basis. And when you work with somebody who is supporting you, who is guiding you with all these things, your mind opens to lots of other possibilities, and this change not only happens in your weight loss. Like, I'm going to give you an example that, if I had a client who's come to me 3 months ago, and he's lost 10 kgs of weight in the last 3 months. He eats everything that he likes to eat. Okay. We've made lots of changes with body, mind, soul on in these 3 months, and he tells me that not only have I lost the weight which I was struggling to lose for so many years, I have also learned so many more things now that are going to help me with my life ahead. And one thing that I believe in is that when somebody comes to me and works with me, I don't want them to ever go to another nutritionist after meeting me. If they are working with me for 3 months, or if they are working with me for 6 months, I teach them how to become their own nutritionist, how to become their own coach after their journey with me is about to end, so that they never fall into this whole victim game of continuously doing fat diets, of continuously searching for some or the other answer for their weight loss or for reversing their health problems. So I think I teach them ways of how they themselves can become their own healers, and not depend on anybody else. Because you can work with me for 6 months, you can work with me professionally for a year, but then after that you have to be your own, how do I say it? You have to be your own coach after that. And I'm very proud to say that, till today, everybody that I've worked with is doing very well even now, applying all those things in their life. And I like that. I like the fact that, people can become their own healers. People can become their own health experts. So that's one thing that I think has been very successful in my case. I think I have been able to achieve that till today. And I can even my clients can proudly say that, they came for one thing, but went back with many more things.
Very good, Karishma. Train the trainer, right? So you're making, you're a coach, you are making them as a coach for their own health. Right?
Absolutely, because that translates, today I'm going to give you an example. I'll speak about one of my clients who I'm working with right now. She's a housewife, and she's the one who actually takes care of the nutrition for the entire house, because she cooks. She's the main person in the kitchen. She's the one who's cooking. She's the one who decides what everybody is going to eat. Because everybody else is doing their own work. And the kitchen department is her department. So when she's educated and she knows what she's supposed to do and what she's not supposed to do, she's educating the other people who are living in her house. Her children, her husband, her staff that is working with her, her in-laws, or there could be how many other people in that house. That one person has the influence over so many other people, and isn't that what every coach or every healer wants? They all want to be able to have maximum impact, and this is the best way. I think that if you can teach other people how to do it themselves, they pass it on to more people.
Excellent, Karishma. So, best advice that you would give to people who are watching you, right? So, particularly, there are a lot of teenagers, adults who are little misguided, not completely informed. So, what will be the one advice that you want to give to them?
One advice would be, the solution for being better in anything You know, if you are somebody who has minor problems, like let's say girls have acne issues, lots of girls have acne issues, you know. uh, um, Boys have lots of issues such as, you know, premature hair fall, or you know, they can't build their muscles at a very young age. It takes them time, and they keep looking for some or the other you know, bodybuilder or a gym trainer to gain muscle and everything. And there are these tiny things, you know. Lots of girls have hormonal issues. There are lots and lots of girls these days who suffer from hormonal issues. If we're only talking about the teenage section, then these are some of the things which are very rampant in these days and time. So what happens is, you know, they look for shortcuts. They think that popping some pill or having some magic detox tea, or they think that, you know, um, going to a doctor and probably getting some surgery or something like that done is going to change their life, is going to get solutions of these things. So I would say that that's not the solution. The solution is always going to be in a change of your lifestyle. Look at what the parameters are in your lifestyle currently which are not supporting your goals. If you want clear skin, are you eating the kind of food that will give you clear skin? Are you moving your body enough to be able to promote that kind of good skin? You know, um, boys who have you know, a lot of boys have a lot of stress with bodybuilding, with muscle gaining. You know, am I eating the right amount of protein? Should I take this injection? Should I take this fat burner? You have to start understanding that, are you actually even really taking care of your basic requirements of the day? Is your sleep hygiene good? Is your mental hygiene good? Is your you know, are you actually exercising as much as you think you are? You know, are you eating the right kind of foods to support the kind of exercise that you are doing? So I would say that, you know, don't pop pills. That's not the solution. Okay. Even the mood disorders, there are so many mood disorders that people face these days. Young children have so much of pressure. You know, lot of kids suffer from anxiety. A lot of kids suffer from obesity. They are overweight at a very young age. You know, a lot of girls do not get their periods on time. A lot of girls have acne issues, hair fall issues. They have this you know, preconceived notion of how a girl should look. You know, how beauty standards are very high, and when they don't meet that on their own level, there's a lot of disappointment. You know, so a lot of stress, anxiety, depression is all over us. A lot of teenagers are suffering because of these things. The solution for these things is not popping pills. The solution is to look at your lifestyle, to look at what you are doing to support your lifestyle, be more mindful about the kind of life that you are living, you know, and make those conscious decisions and changes. Because I always believe that if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Absolutely, Karishma. And you are a very interesting, very passionate and enthusiastic nutritionist that I've seen. Thank you, Karishma, for making yourself available for this conversation and providing a
It has been a pleasure.
great insight into nutrition and healthy lifestyle. Thank you very much.